everybody. Welcome to the Hidden Gems podcast. And this is the show where we like to take on a streaming service and show you some hidden gems that are on that service. And we are back with Disney Plus. This is our 12th episode of Disney Plus, which is pretty crazy. And it's a lot of fun. I am from Rachel Wagner, and Ryan is here.
Hey, Rachel, it's great to be back with you once again, back to where this whole thing started. It
Yeah.
feels like yesterday when we were young and naive and thinking that this whole COVID thing wouldn't last but a few weeks. But
Yeah.
oh, how wrong we were. And things are considerably better now, I'd say. But
Yes.
but I wouldn't change it for anything. This has been a fun time doing this, and hopefully it lasts for a really long time because I look forward to doing this.
I do too. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, we originally thought that we were only going to do just Disney Plus, just a couple of episodes. And then it kept getting longer. Because I remember when they first said that, I believe it was, they said that theaters could be closed for 6 to 8 weeks. And I was like, that's crazy. They're not going to be closed that long. But
In the words of Maury Povich, the lie detector test determined that was a lie.
So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun to look forward to every week, and also to try to find some of these hidden gems, which has been very satisfying, because there's just so much content out there that you need some guidance. I feel like sometimes with just like, you find things that I don't find. I hopefully find things that you wouldn't know about, and I think that makes it really fun.
Yeah, you really opened my eyes to things that I never even heard of before, let
Mm-hmm.
alone would recommend. And I
Mm-hmm.
know I've definitely done that for you. So
Yeah,
it's been great. And
yeah.
like I said, I hope we can keep doing this because I feel like the streaming era is not going away. And so I think we could conceivably do this until like the internet breaks or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yes, and we thought it would be fun to do Disney Plus this week, because this week we have the release of the Star Wars Visions, and it's very exciting. It's really cool. What they're doing is they're giving all these anime directors a chance to direct and create something in the world of Star Wars, and I'm really excited to definitely check it out.
Yeah, when I saw this trailer, I was thinking to myself, this is what I wanted Disney to do with Star Wars. And I think maybe I should get under my desk before I say this, but I was not a big fan of the sequels. That's as far as I will go. But whenever they did something different, I was like, that's something I want, and they never capitalized on it. But this time around, it feels like they're actually doing something different with Star Wars, which is what I wanted from this from the very beginning. So I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
forward to watching the show.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree that the sequels were on the whole disappointing. I think there's some good things in them. I had fun watching most of them. But I didn't really like Rogue One, and I didn't really like Last Jedi, but there's still some good things in them. I think that they didn't have a very clear idea of kind of what they were doing. They were just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what stuck, and that's just not a good way to make film in general. And anyway,
Yeah.
but this is giving some really creative people, a chance to tell their own stories. So it doesn't need necessarily to have that continuity that you need to have with the sequel movies. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to the artwork, and so it should be fun. We'll have to give you our idea of what we thought of it maybe next week, once we both get a chance to see it. But if you've seen it, let us know in the comments what you think. And but that's why we thought it would be fun to talk about Disney Plus this week. But let's dive in. Let's talk about our first picks. So why don't you go first? What is your first pick?
So my first pick is from 2004, and this is a movie that I is not like Disney at its best, but every time I think about this movie or watch this movie, I just love it to pieces, and it's called National Treasure. And I'm sure you all have either A, seen it or know what it is, but The plot is basically that there is a treasure hunter named Benjamin Franklin Gates, played by Nicolas Cage, who is on a mission to try and find a great treasure that the founding fathers brought, or not brought, but found in America and stored away. And so, with the promise of gold, there is someone to go after it against them. And it's Benjamin's former partner, who is played by Sean Bean. And this is a movie. This was directed by John Turteltaub, so you all should know the standards that we're dealing with here. However, I love this movie. It's so much fun. It's kind of a ridiculous premise. Trying to steal the Declaration of Independence was just be like a fool's errand, let alone stealing it. But it
You
kind of
think
reminds.
so, but people were able to storm the Capitol fairly easily. So not to get into politics, but after that, I'm thinking, maybe it wouldn't be that hard.
Maybe someone resourceful, perhaps. But
People were like hanging out in the congressman's offices, and playing like, okay.
but this movie reminds me of playing one of the Uncharted games. I don't know, Rachel, if you've ever heard of the games, but
I've
but
heard of them.
but whenever I watch this, I'm like, if this were a video game, this would be Nathan Drake, not Benjamin Gates. And like I said, Nicolas Cage is in here, and he's definitely more restrained than some of his other roles, but he does a good job here. Justin Bartha's good as his partner, Riley Poole. He handles all the gadgets and all of that. He has some pretty funny lines. Diane Kruger's in here. She's really good. Sean Bean is a lot of fun as always. It, I have a lot of respect for this movie because it feels not like low budget, but really like it feels really it feels smaller for Disney. There's no big CGI special effects. Everything looks like it was done on location. The stunts look like it was done by stunt teams. I love that. I love the spirit of that. Everything looks, especially when you get too close to the treasure, everything looks dirty and lived in. And it's a real hunt to find this treasure. It's not like walk 3 steps, oh, there it is. It's like you got to collect this thing in order to find that thing over there, which may lead you to this thing, though no guarantees. It's a whole bunch of MacGuffins, but that's what makes it fun. I have a soft spot for this movie and the sequel as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that the second one might be a little better just because I really like uh
Ed Harris.
yeah, and oh my gosh, my brain. I can think of it. Playing his mom.
Oh, Helen Mirren.
I was gonna say Helen Hunt. I'm like, that's not right.
Oh, you were close. They're both named Helen.
Anyway, I really like that. But they are fun adventures, and I like adventures. So I think that it's definitely worth watching. If people haven't seen it, you should definitely check them out.
Yeah.
There's kind of like a little bit of Indiana Jones, a little bit of kind of that flair to it. If you like Goonies, if you like those kind of movies, adventures, then you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Ben's being chased by Sean Bean's goons, and he's got the Declaration, and he turns a corner, and one of the goons follows him, and he whacks him and he being Ben, whacks him in the face with the Declaration, and then punches him, and he's like, ah, God. And then he sees the other goon running towards him, he's like, oh, come on. And it's just, I love that little moment of, it's nice to know that Benjamin Franklin Gates is more of a thinker than a fighter.
It's like to have somebody get beaten down by the Declaration of Independence. Very good. All right. Well, my first pick, if you listen to our ranking of the Disney movies from 2014, me and Stanford, you would have heard us praise this film pretty well. And I've been trying to convert Stanford to the DCOM. That there's value in the DCOM.
Sounds
and
like to no success.
to no success until Cloud Nine. Cloud Nine won Stanford over. He loved it. He had it very high in his ranking. And I agree with him. I think it's certainly one of the best recent DComs without music. Because usually those ones are really bad, and at least like the musicals have something to appeal to me, at least with the choreography and the music and everything. But most of the non-musical ones are not great. And this one, it's really good. It's kind of like Legally Blonde meets or Clueless kind of meets snowboarding. I think it's like a sports movie, but also kind of a little bit of an underdog story with Dove Cameron. She plays this girl who is this rich girl who's kind of pampered, and she comes to realize that everybody was kind of letting her win in these snowboarding competitions. And so she starts to train for real, but she also has to take care of, because of various things, she has to take care of these dogs at this dog grooming place. And this guy that she has, of course, tension with, his mom runs the dog grooming place. And it was really solid. It's a solid sports movie. It's a solid like comedy rom-com kind of thing. And if you like either of those kind of genres, I think it's a good DCOM. And I think that it says a lot if it won Stanford over. He liked it. And it's beautifully, I think it's filmed in Utah. It's beautiful, the mountains, and they have this house that is gorgeous. It is such a pretty house with an amazing hot tub. So anyway, it's a good DCOM.
Yeah, I had always heard about this, and it was long past my Disney Channel phase, so I never watched it. However, I always, especially during like the High School Musical era, I was like, those were like event movies for me. Like I remember,
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying this on the podcast before, but when High School Musical debuted, I was a theater kid, and we all had like a party. We had like pizza and snacks, and just it was like we were watching the season premiere of Game of Thrones. Like it was an event. So I could get why people wouldn't like this like format. However, I have a soft spot for it, and they all look fairly well done. So I never got this whole looking down upon made for TV. I mean, Hallmark's been doing it for decades at this point. So I think it should be, I think these movies should
Yeah.
be focused on its content rather than, it's like Marshall McLuhan once said, the medium is not the message.
That's good. Yeah, and they're obviously made on small budgets for teenagers, and so they're not going to necessarily appeal to old fogies like myself. But every once in a while you find one that really works and that's enjoyable. So all right, what is your next pick?
So my next choice is a throwback to 1956. And many moons ago, Rachel, you recommended the Oklahoma movie with Hugh Jackman in it, which was a live recording from the West End. Well, I'm going to recommend the Oklahoma movie that was released in the late 50s. And this is the same plot. It's Rogers Hammerstein. It's the it's the same plot. It's Curly. He falls in love with who
Lori.
thank you, Lori, and they're like, oh, we're not in love, but they secretly are. And Judd's there, and he's a menace. If you've seen a version of this play, then you probably have seen this movie. However, I recommend this for just the look of it, because this movie was shot in a format called Todd AO, and basically it's like the IMAX of the 50s. Every shot in this movie just looks unbelievably gorgeous. Like it just like if I
Yeah.
forgive the cliche, but see it on the biggest screen possible. It's like you're literally it's like The Searchers. It's like you're literally in Monument Valley with John Wayne. The movie looks beautiful.
Yeah, the CinemaScope is really great, especially that opening shot where it goes through the cornfields
Oh
and lands
yeah.
on Curly and he's singing. That's really great. And wonderful performances. And I had some, wonderful songs. It's a lot darker than you remember.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because context, I did a version of Oklahoma, but it was Oklahoma Junior before I saw
Mhm.
this movie. And I was used to the version where Judd gets punched out and dragged off, not Judd gets killed. Spoiler,
Well,
but
and just the whole Judd song, that song is really dark.
yeah,
They basically are like, you should kill yourself. Like, you have no value. Like,
Curly
whoa.
heavily implies like the whole, you could really hang yourself nice up here. It's like such a hero, am I
Whoa.
right?
Like, he's a creepy guy, but like that song is weird. Also, the whole song when they get the goods from, what is it, Kansas City, or I
Oh
forget.
yeah, Kansas City.
That song's weird too. And they've got the I forget what it's called, the kaleidoscope with the whole thing. But I love I Do Annie. She's really fun. I'm
Yeah,
just a
and
girl who can't say no. Kissing's my favorite thing.
favorite food, but close enough. And there's also the scene where Lori is like, out of my dreams and into the hush, and then it goes into that dream sequence. Oh man,
Yeah.
I like that dream sequence is out there.
Yeah, oh, I love that. The ballet. It's
Yeah,
beautiful. So it's a great classic musical. A few things haven't aged particularly well about it, but it's still definitely worth watching. So
I
I think
should
it's
warn everybody that this is 2.5 hours, so be prepared. There is an
mhm,
intermission, if my memory serves me right. So there will be at least an honor act, an intermission, and an exit act or a closing. So when you
mhm,
see the intermission, you're like, oh, if I have to use the bathroom, you can go.
mhm. Yeah. I wish they did intermissions even more in
Yeah,
more movies.
I remember when Avengers Endgame was coming out, people were like, "Is it going to have an intermission?" And I'm
They should have. Why
like,
not? You sell more snacks.
yeah, like at the point where they're about to go back in time, you see them leave, and then it's like,
Yeah,
"This is your time, intermission."
I would. That would be the best. All right. Well, my next pick is one I feel like I've picked it before, but I didn't have it on the list. So I just went ahead, and it is Cars 3. And the Cars franchise is, I don't think it's anybody's like favorite franchise in the world of Pixar, but after Cars 2 was the first one to get kind of critically maligned. They had this incredible ad campaign. The trailers were just incredible for Cars 3. And then I think the movie really pulled it off. I think the racing scenes are great. They're very energetic, and they draw you in, and very well done, very well animated. And I really liked the whole arc of Cruise's character, because they're really talking about not just kind of misogyny or discrimination. They're talking about how she doesn't even really allow herself to think that she can do what she wants to do and race. It takes Lightning actually saying, "Get out there, take my place," in order for her to believe in herself. And I think sometimes that's true to life. Is that it, I mean, even I think about me becoming a film critic. Like it's not that I didn't think I could do it. It's that I didn't even think it was like an option. I never really even like had to sit down when I was younger and thought I could do this. I just didn't. And sometimes it takes somebody kind of pushing you in to that spot to be like, oh, I actually could do this. And then you go and do it. And so I really liked that ending. I thought it was very good, and it had a pretty powerful message for a movie about talking cars.
Yeah, the Cars franchise is certainly the black sheep of the Pixar family. Nobody seems to really like it, and for many reasons, it's kind of justified. However, Cars 3 was way better than I was anticipating it to be. And what I liked the most about it was that it dealt with the fact that Lightning McQueen was getting up there in years, and the reality that he can't race at that level that much longer. As a NASCAR fan, I know for a fact that drivers start in their early 20s and end in their like late 40s, early 50s. So like someone like Dale Earnhardt Jr. Like he started out in his late teens and now he's in his 40s and he can't race anymore due to CTE, which is rather unfortunate. But it's a really sad thing that I think that Cars 3 handled in about as good a way as possible. And also, it has Nathan Fillion in it as the villain, which is an inspired choice.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Well, what's your next pick?
So my next pick, and this is going to be walking the tightrope because this was a movie that came out during arguably Disney's hottest period, the Renaissance era. But when I hear people talking about the Renaissance era, I feel like this movie gets discounted, and I want to try and change that perception. I'm going to be talking about Tarzan. This was released in '99, and I love this movie. I have the VHS of it back on that shelf there. The like I watch it every I try and watch it every year, if not every other year, because I just love this story. I mean, it's the same story of Tarzan and the Ape Man, of them encountering Tarzan and how he was raised by the apes and all of that. And I love the story. I love the animation. I love this. I love the score by Phil Collins. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a massive Genesis fan, but I love the songs here. And what I love the most is that this movie is actually surprisingly dark. You get to see Tarzan's parents actually die, which I don't remember happening in a Disney movie before. And you're Miss Disney, Rachel, so you probably know more than I do. But it's crazy stuff. And the ending with Clayton's death, it's oof. But what I love about this movie is that in a time where Disney was just cranking out nothing but hits, I feel like this is the one that's like, oh, and there's that one. But it's like, you got this movie and it's doing good things too. So I won't say this is better than like Beauty and the Beast or something like that, but it's underrated. And I think that if there was 1,000 times more effort put in than they really had to. They didn't have to go as hard as they did, but I'm so glad they did.
Yeah, if you saw last month, I did my If the Animated Oscars Existed in 1999. So I talked all about Tarzan in that video. And yeah, it's a great movie. I love You'll Be in My Heart. I think that's such a good lullaby that Disney doesn't do that many lullabies. Yeah, and the beginning is really shocking. I mean, to have this, I always get confused if it's a leopard or a cheetah. I think it's a leopard.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
so
yeah. And I love the whole montage of them teaching each other about each other, and their relationship is just great between Tarzan and Jane. And the only
I,
thing I nitpick, I wish they got married in the end, because I don't know, I'm just traditional, and I just kind of would have liked the captain, to marry them at the end instead
yeah,
of
I can definitely understand that, and I see where you're coming from. But that song is that montage is set to the song "Strangers Like Me," and I
Mhm.
used to have the Disney like song collection, volume 1 and 2, and that song was always the first song on that CD. I would listen to that CD a lot, and so that "Strangers Like Me" song is like ingrained in my brain
Mhm.
for the rest of time. It's a great song.
It is a really good song. All right. Well, my next pick is DuckTales, the movie Treasure of the Lost Lamp. And this is the old school DuckTales, obviously not the new DuckTales. But we talked about with National Treasure, if you like adventure movies. And this is another adventure movie, and it's really fun. You've got all your characters, Huey, Louie, and Dewey, going on this adventure uh, for this treasure. And you know, of course, you've got Scrooge also, and Launchpad, and it's just really fun. I haven't seen it in a while, I'll be honest, but it. I like these kind of. I like the animation, and I like the whole adventure of it all.
Yeah, I watched this video on the Disney Afternoon, and I from what I remember is like DuckTales was like a cornerstone of like Disney's TV lineup for a super long time, from what I remember.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they have they find a genie, and when they get wishes, and so it's just got a lot of fun elements. Webby Vanderquack there. And the show, to be honest, I don't think has aged very well. The original DuckTales, it's fine, but like the episodes are incredibly repetitive. I mean, the same plot over and over and over and over again. I think the new show is actually way better, and that's very hot take. But I think that this movie is a lot of fun, and I kind of wish they would make a new DuckTales version of this movie. I would enjoy that. They
Yeah,
should
you've
do that.
also got, I believe, the 10th Doctor, David Tennant, as Scrooge McDuck, which I thought was a
In
pretty
the
good
new,
choice.
yeah,
He's
in
the
the new
10th,
series.
right? I believe Eccleston was the
Mm,
ninth, and Tennant
yes.
came after him.
Yep.
So yeah, he's
Yeah,
the 10th.
that's right. So, what is your next pick?
So my next choice, and there's that DCOM movie I was talking about. It's High School Musical 3, and technically this got a theater release,
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's not actually decom.
but this was a movie that I was emotionally readying myself for, because it's like, this is the last of High School Musical. I hope I see these people again. And Zac Efron's gone to a lot of success. So has Vanessa Hudgens. Corbin Blue strangely has disappeared, which I hope he's doing well. I know he was in the Heights and Dancing with the Stars, and then he just like vanished. So
He
I
was just in a Hallmark movie in August, so that's exciting. First
oh
time
wow.
in a Hallmark movie, so hopefully, and it was really good. So please come back.
Yeah. But High School Musical 3 is, well, the last High School Musical movie. They're all seniors, they're all plotting their futures. And I think out of all of the movies, technically speaking, this may be the best one, just from a filmmaking and just a technical standpoint. This feels and looks like a movie that you would release in theaters. Again, not to look down on the DCOM style, I did defend that earlier, but here the shots look crisper, and even the first song of the movie is just an immediate like, oh, you're watching something meant for theaters. And I believe the song is called 16, if I remember correct. But it's just an epic song, and then Scream later on, and the song where Troy and Vanessa dance, I believe it's called Take One Step. That's a really nice song. Overall, it just, I like I said, this is my favorite High School Musical movie. I like them all, but 3 is my favorite.
It is probably the best one. I think that the first one has the best songs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
But
can see
as
that.
far as yeah, so it's a good one. It filmed right here in Utah, all three, and the series all filmed here. If you come for a visit, I will show you East High.
Oh, well,
We'll go.
I
Yeah.
for various reasons I will be.
All right. Well, my next pick is just kind of fluffy. It's fun. It's the Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, and they have a movie from 2017 that showcases four different couples and their Disney weddings, and you can kind of just have a bit of escapism and just pretend that you're, this extravagant, ridiculous wedding. But just it's as somebody who loves Disney parks, it's kind of fun to see it all draped out and everything for these weddings, and then they have a whole season of a show for Disney Fairy Tale Weddings. So if you like it, if you like the movie, then you can then watch the whole series.
So, how long are these episodes? Are they like half an hour? Do they document like actual people getting married? Like, is
Yeah. The movie has four couples, and then the show. Let's see.
because I've actually seen the Disney weddings Instagram, and when I first heard the concept of like getting married at Disney, that's just kind of weird. But then I saw the photos. I'm like, oh, I see why they do this. And it's like you can get married like at the Grand Floridian, which is like a beautiful hotel, and they actually do it up and they make it super nice. And so it's and so I love the concept of it.
Yeah, so there's actually two seasons of the show, each which is just I think one couple. for 42 minutes. Their weddings. And then the movie is just over an hour and three. And then there's also a Disney fairy tale holiday wedding episode, which is 41 minutes.
Oh, I know you like that.
Mm-hmm. So, what is your next pick?
So my final pick is a movie that I feel like at least everybody has seen at least once. However, I feel like it's one of those movies that's better than you might remember. It's The Sandlot. And again, this is walking the line of, is it really hidden? Because everyone I've met absolutely adores this movie, and I get why, but I feel like there's a lot more going on than maybe people might have missed. Not missed, but like, because this movie is so good dialogue wise, it's insanely quotable. Like, "You're killing me, Smalls," among other things. But this has to be one of the best coming of age movies ever made, and that's maybe a bold statement, but consider that, like, Scott Smalls starts off at in one point in his life and ends up in a completely different one just over a period of like 3 months. Like, it's just crazy to think about. And for a movie like this, they actually deal with more, like, not totally adult, but like more near the knuckle things than I anticipated. Like, I never really got understood the whole chewing tobacco scene until much later. And like, are they gonna swallow that? Like, why are they throwing up? And it wasn't until later that I realized, oh, with that stuff you're supposed to spit it out, and they didn't. And so, among other things. And then it's got two of my favorite like scenes in movies that I remember. The first one being when they have that Fourth of July game, and it's to the song "America the Beautiful" by Ray Charles, and it's so phenomenal combined with the fireworks and Scotty's narration with the whole "we started the game and then we just watched the fireworks," and it's just so nice. And then at the end, when Benny the Jet gets the shoes, the PF Flyers, and how it's like, these look like off-brand Converse. What are these? And they hold them in such reverence that you're just like, well, these shoes really are magic, aren't they? And he gets the ball, and it's just this big chase through the neighborhood. It's great stuff, and it just
Mm-hmm.
I feel like movies like this aren't really made too terribly often anymore, and I think it's a shame. And like I said, Sandlot is definitely in the gray area because people I talk to all the time about the Sandlot are like, "The Sandlot," and they get this like nostalgia for it, and I get it. However, I think there's a lot more going on than people might recognize. At the very least, considering that Dennis Leary and Karen Allen are both in this, and nobody
Right.
seems to notice.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I have it reviewed for Family Movie Night if people want to listen to my review. But it's a movie that it's more about these kids than it is about sports or about worrying about the games or, it's really about who these kids are and they're dealing with their parents and growing up and their friendships and everything. It's a great film. I love it. So
Yeah.
good choice.
I would
All
say the
right.
Wendy Peppercorn stuff would not hold up today,
No,
but
I
but
do agree with that.
the rest of the movie is actually held up pretty well. And to your point about the baseball stuff, the baseball is a vehicle.
Yeah,
it's not a necessarily a baseball movie. It's just so happens to be a movie with baseball in it, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. All right. Well, my last pick is a short, is a Pixar short. And I was thinking that if people liked Luca, they should check out the short La Luna, which is directed by Enrico Casarosa, who is the director of Luca. I really enjoyed Luca, and I love La Luna. It's one of my favorite of all of the Disney shorts. It may be my actual favorite. It's about this family that their job is to scoop stars from off of the moon, and the sort of the banter between the grandfather, the father, and the little boy. And it's just lovely. I love the animation. I love the sound design in it when they're scooping all of those stars, and it just sounds very tactile. And I love the 3 generations. It's really good.
What short was this? Short was attached to a movie. What was it?
It was released before Brave, actually. Galuna.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's got to be attached to a Pixar movie that I'm not thinking of, and Brave was not one that I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm. And it has music by Michael Giacchino, and yeah.
Who has never made a bad score in his entire life, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of his Jurassic World score, but other than that, he's pretty great. So, do you have one more? Or are you done? I lost
No, no,
track.
that's the last one.
Okay, good. Yeah, I actually I did on in for rotoscopers. I did a whole piece on In Defense of Olaf. I'll have to send it to you.
I'll have to read that.
But anyway, so yeah, so we did it. We each did our recommendations, and I think these would be pretty fun. If you watched all 10 of these movies, you'd have a pretty good time, as we usually say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Ryan, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. Then there's, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just called RyanCam. We're recording this on a Sunday, which means my video on The Big Lebowski, Being Better Than You Remember, just dropped. On Monday, I'll be dropping my review for Denis Villeneuve's Enemy in my Villeneuve series. I'm going to be reviewing everything from Polytechnic through Blade Runner 2049 in honor of Dune 2021 coming out. Wednesday will be Sicario. Let me check my board. And then I'll also be having reviews for Dear Evan Hansen and The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which I can finally see this week. And then I'm also in preparation for my Scary Mania series. I'm going to be reviewing 31 horror movies on all 31 days of October. So there's a lot to look forward to. If you haven't checked me out, please do.
Great. Yeah, you all should check it out. You should subscribe. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check all of that out. Also, make sure you follow the Hallmarkies podcast. We've got lots of fun stuff going on over there. And thanks so much, everybody. Let us know your picks for Disney Plus, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.